Welcome to my official Tales from the Borderlands review, the new series by Telltale Games, and when this was announced at VGX, I was super excited. You want to know why? Because my extent of the Borderlands series has been me borrowing a copy from my friend, playing 30 minutes of it, realizing I was not in the mood for a gun-shooting friend free-for-all, because I have no friends and I didn't want to shoot things, so I returned it back the next day. That was my extent of it. But I really liked the environment, I liked the cel-shaded graphics, I liked the characters, I liked Claptrap, he was cool. I like Zer0, he was cool. So that's kind of what I was at. I was like, this is a good universe. Don't really like shooting things that much sometimes. So I was super excited to see something a little bit more story-driven, comedy-wise. I wanted to see Telltale take up something again that is less serious and more comedy. And they pulled it off so well. I was wondering how they're going to mix series that is focused on gameplay and mixing it with them just being focused on story, and it works perfectly. They take elements from everything, and it is such a great video game, and here's why. So upon booting up Tales from the Borderlands, I was expecting to see a regular plain old menu where you click around and you go to your choices, you go to your game, press enter, done. Like all the other Telltale games have been. But this was different. When I booted up, I was so surprised because it looked like Borderlands 2. Even though I played 30 minutes of Borderlands 2, I remember that intro, that main menu specifically, and it looks like Borderlands 2. It looks like Borderlands, and that was something that, it's so minute, it's so little that people are probably not even going to notice it, but it was something to me that it set a tone. It really did set a tone for the game and what it was going to be. Looking at it and just visualizing the main menu kind of set a tone. This is going to be a Borderlands video game first and foremost, and then with Telltale's makings. So that was reassuring, seeing an emphasis on keeping the source material real and not changing it too much. So the presentation of Tales from the Borderlands is really good. When I started up the game, I looked at it, I'm like, this is Borderlands. It had cel-shaded graphics. At moments, it looked like Borderlands 2. It had that crazy art style when someone would pop up and would say their name with a quote, like a cute little phrase. That's still intact. The flavor, everything about the game is still intact. It is Borderlands at heart. It feels like Borderlands just like the main menu. It is Borderlands. But then you get into the graphical department. Now, I said some parts do look exactly like Borderlands 2. It looks great. But then you start going into the desert. Then you start seeing things, and it doesn't look like Borderlands. It looks like Borderlands set to medium to low settings. It doesn't look good at all. Some parts are just like, oh, this looks like Borderlands, but like a knockoff version. It's very, very bland and boring, and there are environments that look like I'm playing the PS Vita version of Borderlands, which is notoriously bad. It just doesn't look great, and the game ran good for me throughout the whole time, but the presentation of everything just didn't look good, and I think this is more of a problem with the actual engine of Telltale. Telltale uses Telltale Works, which is a engine that is used to, kind of make one version and then spread it around to Linux, Mac, iOS even, going from the most high-end range things to the lowest range things, and they need to fix that, because it's not looking good even on the highest end thing. I'm running on a $800 PC. It's insane with all its specs, and I still can't make it look good. I'm running it high, more than 60 frames, and it's just not looking amazing. And that's something that really is disappointing to see, especially from such a stylized video game. There needs to be a little bit more texture there. So this is Telltale's first foray into a brand new world of Borderlands, and also a brand new world of multiple characters. Telltale's kind of carved their own way in the Borderlands mythos and created two great characters and that are very, very good. They're great characters, they're fun to play with, and you start off with Reese, who is this kind of worker he starts at the bottom, and he really wants to get at the top of Hyperion, which is kind of like the evil warmongering stature in Pandora, who just like looks over the whole world and like ruins everything for the lower class.
You're Hyperion. You wake suckers ruined this town, you know that? Atlas were bastards, but at least they had the good sense to fail.
Oh my god, who called in the wambulance, huh?
And he wants to be the head of that, because the leader of it in Borderlands 2 croaked. I'm not going to spoil who, but he kind of wants to be that, and when his first step comes about, he screws it up. he doesn't get the job, and through a series of unfortunate events, he ends up in Pandora, and then he meets Fiona, who is a con artist who really, really wants to hit the big time for her sister and her adoptive father. So her and her kind of a con artist family are trying to pull off the biggest heights that they've ever done in their life, and they kind of meet, both characters meet under very unfortunate circumstances, but those unfortunate circumstances are never sad. That's why I love this game. Those circumstances usually would be like a depressing thing in Walking Dead or Wolf Among Us, but it's funny. Even the worst things that happen, murder, death, killing.
Ooh, got quiet all of a sudden.
It's funny. It's so irreverent. It's just hilarious. It's such a good game in terms of that. It takes the ideas of destruction and murder and it just turns into a joke and a very playful nature. Even when you see the corpse of your once boss floating into the abyss, it's funny. And they mix that type of humor and death and disgust into one package that is probably one of the funniest video games I've ever played in my life. Like, I'm gonna be completely honest. Like, I think I've laughed more playing this game than I've laughed in the last month. And that might be sad, but I love this game in terms of the comedy. It's such a good comedy, and the characters of Fiona and Reese really bring that together. They're the building blocks of this relationship, and there's clearly going to be a relationship between them, whether that be, you know, love or whether that be just a friendship. But it's there, and I like it. There's chemistry between them, and it's super good. And there's so much humor in this game. There's so much sequences of events that are out of order. So much unique about this game. But the thing that's unique about this game that I don't really agree with is the choices. You see, most of the Telltale games have really relied on having choice. Choice is the crux of the video game. It is the thing that makes or breaks everything. So if Walking Dead didn't have a good choice, episode 3 or whatever, people are not going to like it as much. Borderlands takes a different approach to this, where there are choices, there are a lot of them, but they don't really matter. They're not really the focus. I don't know if this is their intention, or maybe it's just the characters are not developed well enough so far, but none of the choices really connected with me. I mean, some of them were hard, but then when you really think about it, they really weren't. And then even the hard ones that were very difficult to make, when you made them, they played out the same exact way either way. Like, there are decisions, like even minute, like kicking over a trash can. It happens even if you don't do it. So there needs to be a risk and reward. If you don't do something, there should be a risk that something else will happen. Not like the same exact outcome would happen even if you do a choice, because then it falls into the Mass Effect 3 category where, oh, everything I do, it just the same ending happens. And I don't want Borderlands to fall into that. I really don't. I love this series, and I think there's a lot of great room for choices, but it's just not showing in this episode. And hopefully there's going to be more development of characters. Hopefully there's going to be more development of choices and minute details about characters that we're going to be able to play with in the future, and maybe make this a little bit more serious, but hopefully not too serious. Talking about the characters, they're both played by Laura Bailey and Troy Baker, respectively, and they are very good. Laura Bailey is one of the best in VO right now. She is so good. She had some great work in Infamous Second Son. Super good character there. Really great actress. And then Troy Baker always hits it out of the park. I'm super excited to see what he does in Uncharted 4. But that's the problem here. They're so good here. They're amazing here. They're probably at their comedic best here. And you don't see it. Even Chris Hardwick, who's playing the best friend of Reese, he's doing really well. He's a great actor. He's super funny. But the technology just holds them back. Since this is set on architecture that was made to upscale to PC and then downscale all the way to iOS, they had to make some concessions. And one, graphically, and then two, animation-wise. To say here that there's no motion capture here, and this is all dubbed and computer animated, but because you can see it, the lip syncing is bad, the animations are stiff, and it's so sad to see. These are some great characters, some great people, some great actors and actresses, and great performances that you can see, but it's like watching through a wooden pole. Like, I don't understand what they're trying to do here. Like, I can hear them saying great things, but it's not translating into what they're actually trying to say. It's super frustrating to see, and it's kind of sad to see that happen. Such a waste of great talent, with limitations from the technology. There really needs to be a change with this engine. I really wish that this was going to be the change, but alas, it didn't happen. So overall, this is a great episode. It's a great start to a fantastic series that I'm hoping will continue in a regular dosage, because I want to play more of this game. It's really good, and I urge any person out there who has played Walking Dead and thinks it's a little bit too serious, try this. This is gonna be your game. If you think that Walking Dead or Wolf Among Us was too serious for you, play this. This is gonna be the best game for you. It's a funny game, it's a great time, and I give it an 8.0. I mean, it's a great video game. I really just wish that there was better animation, and then some of the graphical issues and choice issues really were cleared up with this new engine, and the choices just need to be more varied. But other than that, amazing world, great characters, funny dialogue, laughing out loud. I was almost crying at one point, laughing. Great stuff, great characters, and I really want to see more of this series coming up soon. Hopefully they don't make us wait more than 2 months. So guys, that was my review. What do you think? Leave a comment down below. Please tweet at me at RajFormer. Follow me, Twitter, RajFormer, or you can go on my YouTube channel, at RajFormer. So a lot of more videos to come. I'm probably going to do a lot of first impressions and gameplay stuff, because I got some of the games through a PR person, and this is part of it, and I wanted to review some of them. I wanted to review all of it, or do some form of impression. So hopefully you like it, hopefully you're excited, and yeah, subscribe if you haven't. Road to 100, and peace.